MPLS TE and MPLS Layer 3 VPN relation. In this video, I am going to talk about the relation between the MPLS TE and MPLS VPN. This video tries for example, talking about the relation between the traffic engineering tunnels and layer 3 VPNs. Let me to give you one example to better understanding the relation between these two tools. You know that in MPLS layer 3 VPN, we are configuring VPNs for connecting different sites of multiple sites of a customer, okay, in a simple VPN. For example, as you can see here, we have customer A site 1 and customer A site 2. With MPLS layer 3 VPN, we can configure a VPN from the router 1 to router 6, and finally we have connectivity between the router 7 and router 8. You know it. And you learn about the configuration of the layer 3 VPN in the MPLS layer 3 VPN course. Okay, if you don't know about the MPLS layer 3 VPN, you need first study the MPLS layer 3 VPN course, and after that you can for example, watch this video, and don't worry about the traffic engineering, because here I'm not going to talk about a new feature of the traffic engineering. Here we are talking about only the relation between the TE and VPN, and for example, how we can use this relation. If you don't know about the MPLS layer 3 VPN, you can't understand this video. Because of that, you can first watch the video of the MPLS layer 3 VPN. After that, you can watch this video, and if you don't watch this video, the MPLS traffic engineering knowledge in your mind is complete. Don't worry about the T, because here we don't have any new feature about the traffic engineering, only we are talking about the relation of the T and VPN. Assume that here we have a service provider, and this service provider tries to connect the customer A site 2 and customer A site 1 and site 2 with the MPLS layer 3 VPN. You know that in the layer 3 VPN, we are using two protocols. The first is, for example, LDP, Label Distribution Protocol, and also MPBGP for label advertisement. These two protocols is using in the layer 3 VPN for label advertisement, and in traffic engineering, okay, or TE, as you saw, we used only the protocol of the RSVP, okay, for label advertisement, or RSVP TE, for example, okay. In this scenario, as you can see, this service provider has multiple paths from R1, from one PE. This is the PE of the service provider, PE1, for example. And then here we have another PE, the PE2. This service provider tries to connect these two sites of a customer to each other. And you know that we need to configure a BGP VPN v4 session between the R1 and R6, two PEs, and finally we can send the traffic between the R1 and R6 from this path, R1, R2, R3, R5, R6, or R1, R2, R4, R5, R6. Maybe in some cases you want to use for example, this path or this path, okay? You can use the traffic engineering tunnels to forwarding the traffic of different customers from different links inside of the service provider. This can give you this ability to using the bandwidth or for example resources of the links with a better with more optimized function. You know that when you don't have traffic engineering tunnels, only the IGP can load balance the traffic between the links. If you want, you can use the traffic engineering tunnels for better forwarding traffic, better load balancing the traffic between your links. In this scenario, I'm going to show you how we can configure traffic engineering tunnels, for example, from this path R1 to R6. And after that, we can steer the traffic of the, for example, customer A site 1 and customer A site 2 from this tunnel. This means that we are engineering the traffic to forward from this path. If you have another, for example, customer with the same function, you can steer the traffic of that customers from this link, from the, for example, lower path or bottom path, okay? Also, one important thing that I am going to talk about that is that in layer 3 VPN, we are using LDP and also MPBGP for advertising the, for example, labels. But with traffic engineering, when you are using the traffic engineering tunnels, you don't need LDP. You can use only MPBGP and also RSVPT. This is so interesting. Let me to show you, okay? If I know that in most service providers we have LDP, it's okay. But I'm going to show you it is not, for example, necessary to using LDP when we have MPLS traffic engineering in between all of the P's. But I know that in practical scenarios you will see the LDP also. Okay, let me to show you how we can configure the MPBGP and also RSVPT in this scenario. And finally, we will have connectivity between the router 7 to router 8. And I'm not going to use the LDP. Let me to start the configuration of this scenario. We should first configure the scenario from scratch, because we will use this scenario or a scenario similar to this scenario in the future videos. We have 4 scenarios about the MPLS-T and MPLS VPN relation, and this is the first scenario, scenario A. And in this scenario, we are configuring a tunnel between 2P, P2P tunnel. You will see that in the future videos, I'm going to talk about the, for example, MPLS-T and MPLS layer 3 VPN relation and configuring another type of tunnel. This is the first scenario about the MPLS-T and MPLS VPN relation. And here, as you can see, we are configuring a P2P tunnel. Let me to start the configuration. After that, you can better understand the detail of the, for example, MPLS-T and MPLS VPN concept. Let me to show you the interfaces labels. This is the interfaces labels. Now we can easily configure this scenario. Don't forget here, I'm not going to configure the LDP. Okay, we can see a layer 3 VPN for a first time without LDP. It's so interesting. Let me to show you. Look at here in R1. We can configure EN, then conft, after that host name, or for example, R1. Let me to define MPLS label range between the 100 to 199. And after that, because we need the traffic engineering, let me to configure MPLS, for example, a traffic ENG, then tunnels. That's it. And after that, now we can configure the interfaces IP addressing, interface fast Ethernet 00. The IP address of this interface is 10.1.255.255.255.0. You can use OSPF or ISIS. Let me to use OSPF, IP OSPF 1 area 0, and then IP OSPF, for example, network point to point. After that, we can configure IP RSVP bandwidth. You learn about all of these features in this course. Because of that, I'm not going to talk about them more. IP RSVP bandwidth, and after that, MPLS traffic ENG tunnels. That's it. And after that, we need to enable the interface, no shutdown. This is the configuration of interface fast Ethernet 00. And also, you know that in layer 3 VPN, we need to define the VRF. So here we have one VRF. Let me to configure this VRF definition. The name of this VRF is A1, because this is a site 1 of customer A. First, we need to configure RD. I'm going to use the RD of 65,000:1. After that, address family, okay, IPv4. Don't worry about the detail of the layer 3 VPN. Here is not a course about the MPLS layer 3 VPN. Here is a course of MPLS-T, but we need MPLS layer 3 VPN. If you don't remember this configuration, it's not important, because you need to only understand the TE, okay? After that, address family IPv4. Now we can configure route target both, then 65,000:1. That's it. After that, here we have interface fast Ethernet 01 as a member of this VRF, interface fast Ethernet 01. And then we can use again IP address command 10.171.255.255.255.0, and then no shutdown. But first, we need to assign this interface to the VRF of the A1, VRF forwarding A1. That's it. Then we can configure the BGP neighborship between the router 1 and router 6. Here also we need one loopback interface on the router 1. Let me to configure the loopback interface. Here we have interface, okay, loopback 0. The IP address of the loopback is 192.168.192.168.2541 quad 255. then OSPF should be enabled on this loopback. IP OSPF 1 area 0. This is the configuration OSPF router configuration of OSPF router OSPF 1. Router ID is 192.168.2.541. Let me to enable traffic engineering on the OSPF MPLS traffic ENG